In this video, I'm going to share with you a method to learn something once and remember forever. Not for the next test, for years. And it comes down to one thing most students never do before they even start learning. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They assume if they read something, it'll stick. It won't. Your brain isn't a hard drive. It doesn't save everything you feed it. It filters and it only keeps what it decides is relevant. Think about when you're driving. You pass hundreds of number plates a week. You read a bunch of them without even trying to. And you don't remember a single one an hour later. Now think about a name at a party. Most names go as the same way those number plates are. In 1 year, gone by the morning. But every so often, you meet someone and the name just sticks. Not because you tried hard to remember it. Something about that person. A joke they made, a mutual friend. The way the conversation went made your brain flag it as worth keeping. That's the whole mechanism. Relevance decides what survives. And here's the part that catches people out. Just because something's going to be in your exam doesn't make it relevant to your brain. Your brain doesn't know what's on the exam. It only knows what it's been given a reason to care about. So if you want to learn something once and remember it long term, you can't leave relevance to chance. You have to build it in before you even start learning. So there are few ways to do this. The most effective one I found is from Filips, a doctor and a content creator in the UK. I modified it slightly to make it work faster. Going back to the party, you don't walk in and instantly remember everyone's name in the room. Something has to happen first. A reason to pay attention to one person over everyone else. That's step 1. Broaden your context. Before you touch your textbook, you prime your brain to actually care about the topic. Here's how I do it. Say I'm learning about juvenile idiopathic arthritis, a pediatric arthritis condition. Before I open any textbook, I search the topic on Google. Click over the news tab and scroll. I'm not looking for anything specific. I'm looking for one article that's actually interesting. A case, a controversy, or a story with a person in it. So, this article feels interesting. In here, it's talking about JIA. So, it affects children under the age of 16. Okay, that's a point. And there are several types of JIA. Okay. And it says it's one of the most common causes of physical disability in childhood. Okay. And it has started from her wrist. So, it affects wrist. And she thought it's a fracture. And the wrist became sore. So, it's inflamed. She couldn't write, so there's disability. That's what I find interesting in this article. This article also seems interesting. In this girl, it has started from her ankle, so it affects both wrist and ankle. It also has affected her knee, and she couldn't walk. And it was treated with steroid injections. So steroid is part of the treatment. It's an autoimmune disease, attacking healthy joints. There's no cure, but treatable. Okay, now I have some idea about JIA. Just like that, I skim through news articles and find what's interesting and relevant to my brain. If I skip this and go straight into the textbook, JIA is just another topic on the syllabus. My brain has no reason to hold on to it, so it won't. But once I read something that made me feel something about it, even mildly, the topic isn't neutral anymore. It's relevant. So before going any further, if this is helping you, subscribe, because what's coming next is directly building on this. And it's the part most people skip entirely. Now that your brain actually has a reason to care, you are at the first handshake. You know the name, but you don't know the person yet. Step 2 is skimming. Go through the textbook or whatever the resource you are using and pull out the shape of the topic. Headings, subheadings, bolded terms, diagrams and pictures. You are not reading properly yet, you are scanning the structure. So I'm skimming through this part of my textbook. So JIA, it's a chronic inflammatory disease. There's joint swelling for more than 6 weeks, presenting before 16 years of age. And there are 7 different subtypes. Classification, there's oligoarthritis, polyarthritis, systemic. Features in history are stiffness after a long period of rest, morning joint stiffness, pain. So looking at the complications, there's chronic anterior uveitis, there's joint contractures, growth faltering, There can be constitutional problems, osteoporosis, amyloidosis. Those are the complications. Management wise, medical management includes NSAIDs, analgesics, joint injections, corticosteroids. And this is where step 1 pays off. While you skim, connect what you're seeing back to the article you read. If the news piece mentioned flare-ups and you spot disease flare bolded in the textbook, that's not a new term anymore. It's something you already have a hook for. Step 3. Going back to the person you met at the party, this is the real conversation. You've been introduced, you've shaken hands, and now you actually sit and get to know them. Step 3 is reading the material properly, in full detail, the way you normally would. But it won't feel the way that it usually does. You're not meeting any of this cold. Every new fact has somewhere to attach. The context from the article, the scaffolding from your skim, that's what makes it stick instead of sliding past. Even after all that, there are still gaps in your knowledge. You can prime your brain, build the scaffolding, read the material properly, and still lose it in a few weeks if you stop there. Because priming and reading get information in. They don't test whether it actually stayed. According to multiple research, the sooner you test after learning, the more you remember the information for a long time. Most people reach for past papers here, but there's something better. Past papers mostly test basic recall. Can you remember the fact? That's not the same as knowing whether you actually understood it. So to make this step count, use higher order questions instead. What I do is, I ask ChatGPT to generate set of higher order questions on the topic with answers. I read the question, and before looking at anything, I try to answer it from my memory. Actually think it through, not just recognize it. Then I check the answer. If I got it wrong, that's not a failure. That's the exact gap I need to find. And I go back into my resources and fix it. That's running into someone again after weeks and finding out whether the name actually stuck or whether it quietly slipped away. Now, making information relevant is one part of this. But relevance alone won't save you if your brain is overloaded while you're trying to learn it in the first place. Because there's a limit to how much mental effort you have available in any session, and most people burn through it on the wrong things before they even get to the material that matters. I've got a full video breaking down exactly how to manage that and how to structure your studying around it to learn faster than almost everyone else. Watch it next.